Hey guys, Michelle from Michelle's Craft Corner here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this awesome cross pop-up card using the Hold On to Hope bundle. Now this is the full tutorial. If you're interested in just the pop-up mechanic, I have a separate video just for that, but if you're ready to do the full card, let's get started. So here's a close-up of that card we're going to be making today. There's the front and the awesome pop-up on the inside. I just love how that turned out, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you guys how I did this fun pop-up mechanic, and it's really simple to make, so quite a nice statement card. Also want to show you another variation of the same design is here, so you don't have to do the full wood grain on the back. You can do a strip, and then for this one, instead of the green base, I have the crumb cake base. I just thought when I did this one first, the hill was a little too dark, but lots of different ways to do this. So for this card, we of course are going to be using the Hold On to Hope bundle, which is just such an awesome bundle. Today I'm going to be using clear, but it is also available in wood mount. Now I will go ahead and apologize, I'm a little light on my post-it notes, so I don't have as many to show you with the products today, but all the links will be in the video description, so you can just check those out. So even if it doesn't have a handy post-it note, I do have all the links in the video description. Alright, so these are the ink colors we're going to be using today. Depending on when you're watching this, Emerald Envy may be retired. It's one of our in colors that's about to go, so this is kind of my nod to that color. But if you don't have Emerald Envy, you could also do Old Olive, Garden Green. Any of our other greens would work well for this. Alright, besides our ink pad colors, we of course are going to be using some of the wonderful Wood Textures Design Series paper. You can see I absolutely love this. That's why I have so many scraps and pieces from cutting and working with. We're going to be using that for both the background piece, the little center inside layer, and then also our cross is cut out with the wood grain as well, which actually these are in so many beautiful wood texture designs. You could really pick any of them to work well with this card. Besides the Wood Textures Design Series paper, we're also going to be using a little bit of the Petal Passion paper. Now this is in the new Occasions catalog. And for all these cute little flowers right here, I used this paper from this suite, and I just colored those yellow and fussy cut them out. If you don't have this paper or have a flower punch you prefer, you could definitely do that instead. I just really liked the variation of size of these for this particular project. But this is just a gorgeous paper stack. You can color it any kind of way. There's some beautiful stuff with this sheet especially, so definitely one to check out. All right. And then of course, as I already said, our card base is with that Emerald Envy. And then we're also going to be using a little bit of Whisper White today. Some tear and tape adhesive. Some of the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, and then markers. I'm also going to be using the Marina Mist and the So Saffron. We're going to do a tiny bit of sponging, so have some sponges for the Marina Mist and the Emerald Envy. Okay, and for punches, I used two different punches for the tomb and the stone that's rolled away. For the stone, I used the 1 1/4 circle punch. And then for just the opening to the tomb, I used sadly, the retired oval punch, but you can also use the oval framelets as well. I just had this handier on the desk to grab. If you didn't have either of those, you could easily cut a small oval using one of the circle punches or just kind of freehanding it. And these were also using just a little piece of smoky slate and just a little piece of basic black scrap for those when we get there. And then, of course, I said fussy cutting, so you know you need your paper snips. I think that, oh, and then we're also going to be using a little washi tape. It does not matter what color or type. This is going to be for positioning. So just any washi tape you have on hand, color, retired, current, doesn't really matter. And we're also going to be doing, I know this was a very long list, I apologize. We're also going to be doing a little bit of heat embossing with our Versamark and, oh no, oh, well, marker's down. All right, and our heat tool, which I did not realize was so far out of the shot, but it's right here. And then some clear embossing powder. I actually keep mine in tubs, so that's my my cheap storage for embossing powder. Which you don't have to do that step, and you'll see why I decided to do it in a second. All right, so we ready to go? All right. So of course we're going to start with our card front. Now, if you are only interested in just the pop-up mechanic for the inside, I do have a separate video that is just that piece. So if you don't want the whole card tutorial, you may want to check that one out. It'll be a little shorter. All right, so we're going to start with the front of our card. And taking our Emerald Envy, got our nice card base going. And our first piece is going to be our front panel. Now this is cut out of our Wood Textures paper at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then we've got a front piece here that we're going to stamp and color on. And this is cut at 3 by 3 1/4. And the last other piece on the front that was stamped is our God is Love sentiment. And I went ahead and cut that out with the coordinating die just for the sake of time. But that was just stamped in the basic black and cut out. All right, you guys got all that? Okay, so let's just go ahead and we will add this to the card really quick. Post-it notes everywhere. All right. And you can just see like both sides of this paper is just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and I just like to leave a little bit of an edge all the way around. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and set that aside and grab our other piece. Now I'm going to start with my fun leaves that are in this set and go ahead and grab that Emerald Envy. Now you can see in this card we've got a bunch of different layers. Now the way I'm going to do it, you can do it different ways, but I found that stamping the leaves first worked better because then the leaves would pop out against the cross. Now we're going to stamp and then, oh actually we didn't need the Versamark. I misspoke. Alright, so I'm going to start by stamping our leaves, and you want to kind of aim it in the center but down a little bit because that little base of the tail is going to be on the side of the cross. Okay. And then while it is still kind of wet, now it's not going to be super wet, we're going to go ahead and grab our clear emboss powder. And we're just going to give it a little light sprinkling with the clear emboss powder. Now, because I didn't put any Versamark on it, it's not going to stick super well. But my goal for this is for it to just kind of cover those leaves enough so that when I stamp the cross on top, that some of that brown kind of seeps around and doesn't cover over the green. So I'm just going to heat set that real quick. And this may be out of the shot because my cord is short. Here we go. That looks good. And you'll notice you have it done when it kind of gets that glossy look. I don't know if you guys could see that in the camera. Let me get too close. Kind of has a little bit of a shine, and that's when it has melted. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and grab that cross and our soft suede ink. Should have already had on a block. All right. So many steps. Okay. So we've got our nice solid cross using the soft suede. You could also use crumb cake or Sahara sand. Any of those would work too. Of course, I grabbed the dirty block so it doesn't want to hold. Come on. All right, this is the do what I say, not what I do moment. So, because it's not sticking to my block, I'm just going to kind of put it on with my fingers real quick. And do that. If I didn't want to just start over, I probably would have done that differently. I didn't realize my block was dirty. If your blocks are dirty, a lot of times your stamps will not cling well, and also if you're in some humid areas like Florida, sometimes they don't stick. All right, so you can see this one. Because we did the clear emboss, so those leaves kind of stick out a little bit more than if we had just stamped it straight on the green. If you want them to be darker, you can definitely do a little bit more sponging with a same sponge or marker if you want it to kind of have a little bit more of a darker. And actually, I think I may add a teeny bit on it just to kind of fill it in. So I'm just going to grab a little crumb cake real quick because that's too light for me. All right. So just a real quick little add right there. Okay, that kind of just covers it up a little bit better. Soft suede would have been better, but this was handier. So anyway. Okay, so now we have our stamped cross. We're going to go ahead and do the background. So for the background, I used the Marina Mist, and then also that Emerald Envy again. Now, if you want to be sure that you have a good hill arched look, you can definitely take a Post-it note and kind of make a bit of an arch as a mask. Just like that. And kind of trim it out. So it's not too sharp of a hill. There we go, like that. And grab my Emerald Envy, put that up a little higher. You use the daubers or the regular sponges, both work. And if you don't want a precise straight hill, you could just kind of eyeball it too. Okay, peel it away. We've got that nice green hill going on. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and grab our Marina Mist. And our sponge. And just sponge the sky. Let me put this back in shot so you guys can see the goal here. So for sky, I just kind of like to give it a little soft up and down action all around. You could also do just back and forth. That just feels, kind of looks a little more natural. There we go. Okay. That's pretty good. What do you guys think? All right. And then we're also going to take our God is Love. Little sentiment here. Wait, okay. And we're also going to sponge the edge of that too. I feel like it kind of makes it pop. And also since it's sitting in the sky, it just kind of fits a little better. So just kind of hitting the edge of that all the way around. Which you don't have to. I mean, if you like it just a solid white, you could totally do that too. But just a little quick sponging, and I think it just really makes it pop. There we go. Stick that off to the side. Now the other thing I did, which you may or may not be able to see in the video because it's very, very subtle, is I took my Marina Mist. Actually, we'll do this. Okay. Maybe you can tell this way. Although this one actually I think is more vanilla than Whisper White. But I took my marker and I actually went through over the lines in God and Love because it actually has tiny space on the letters. And so, and yet again, this is a totally optional thing. I just kind of liked the look of it. So I just took my fine tip of my Marina Mist. And yes, I don't even know how well this is going to show up in the video, but this is really quick. And I just went through those little lines with the fine tip just to make those letters pop and kind of match that blue sky a little bit more. All right, see? Very quick. But totally optional. All right, so now we have our words. We've got our background. See? Only thing we are missing is, of course, our flowers. Now, for our flowers, yet again, I just colored and cut out a section of this paper, which these are just lovely flowers, but I really like that it's got the different sizes. So I just colored those in with the So Saffron marker and fussy cut a couple different sizes. So I have those pre-done and ready to go. Let me grab my little pile of flowers here. And I really liked on this one, you guys can see, having the flowers go from kind of big to small on the ends. So we're going to do the same thing on this one. So let's go ahead and glue the base down. And just center that. Okay. Kind of eyeballed. And then go ahead and glue our God is Love down. Now you could definitely throw a dimensional behind this too if you want. I just didn't want it to get too bulky with the pop-up center. So there we go. All right, so now we're going to add our flowers. So let's maybe like that one. And this will also hide if you have any little spots you're not loving. Let's see. Just kind of like to lay them out first. And get a feel. Stay. A few right there. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, we're just gonna tiny dot of glue and stick those down. Fingers are a little sticky. Okay. Okay. So now we have our basic card front done. Hope you guys like that so far. All right, now we're going to move on to the center. Ta-da! All right, so this is going to be hard to show in camera while doing, so we'll just kind of make it work. All right, so we're going to start with our pop-up component here. So for that, you're going to start with a 2-inch strip. Now, for this one, I did the strip in the same color as the base so that the hill was green. In my other example, I had done it in brown, and it just looked too dark. So I went ahead and cut that 2-inch strip in green. It's going to be the same width as your card. You guys can see that. All right. All right. And then we are going to take our score board and score it right in the middle. Okay, so my pre-done one is a little bigger. Okay, so we're going to just do a score line straight in the middle at 4 1/4. So half of 8 1/2, 4 1/4, straight in the center. It's going to be the same score line as the center of your card. And then we're going to turn it and score at 1/4 inch all the way down. Okay, hopefully I didn't lose anybody. Then after you have those 2 score marks, we're going to fold it in half. Kind of give that corner a good press. And then take our paper snips. And you're going to want to do a triangle cut from the corner where those 2 scored lines meet and just out. Now there's not a specific angle, but you do want a nice chunk out of it. And that will leave you with kind of a good triangle. Now we're also going to kind of trim the hill. That's personal preference, how much trimming you want to do, but you can always trim it after you adhere it. You don't have to trim it before. All right, so next thing, and I do apologize, this may be a little hard to see, the green on green. If you have trouble with this part of the video, you can check out my other video, because in that one, when I just did the center, I did 2 different colors. It might be a little easier to see. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab our washi tape. Yet again, does not matter at all what color or type you use. But we're going to line up the center crease for our pop-up hill with the center crease of the card. And we're going to fold that little fold down. And you want to kind of make a V. But with that V, you do want to be sure that your 2 creases line up, that your center is on the center. Now when you think you've got it eyeballed pretty good, we're going to go ahead and take the washi tape and just washi tape those edges down. Okay. Now you may be wondering, well, why are we washi taping it and not just straight up gluing it? And I will show you why. All right, so we have it lined up. I'm going to double check that our creases match. And then this is also the time to make sure that it folds properly, because once you glue it, you really can't move it. So we're going to go ahead and practice closing it. You can also test and see if you have any of that hill sticking out. And of course you can trim that up later. But you mainly want to make sure that your placement is good and that it is a smooth fold, just like that. Don't worry if it pops up a little bit on the front. Let me show you what I mean. If it's popping up a little bit on the front, that's fine. As long as it sits flat, it'll still be okay. All right, so once we are sure, and of course, if it doesn't close smoothly, you can adjust that with the washi tape and kind of be sure that you have it good. Then we're going to go ahead and grab our tear and tape adhesive. This is great for this project. Just grab a little strip. Now with that washi tape there, let's see if I can show this in the camera. I'm just going to tilt it up and stick that strip under one side. Oh, okay. Just like that. And tear it off. Hence the name. There we go. And then push that one side down. So that washi tape is just kind of that guide to make sure that it didn't move or wiggle on us. We do the same thing on the other side. We lift up and put it down. Okay. Oops, sorry, off camera. And peel that away. And just kind of give it a little push down. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and take that washi tape off. I mean, unless you really want it on the back, but I kind of don't want stripes on the back of my Hill of Calvary here. Okay, yeah. All right, so now we have our basic hill ready to go. So now it just needs some decorating. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do our cross. Now for our cross, I yet again cut it out with the framelits and the Wood Textures Designer Series paper, which is just, as I said before, it is awesome. I love this stuff. Where is my, there it is, okay. Now to make sure that it does fold, because we're putting it straight in the center, we're gonna go ahead and score it straight down the center. Now if you're not quite sure where the center of your cross is, it may be handy to line it up on your grid paper and do just a little tiny pencil mark as a guide. Just because we're talking in such small measurements, it can be kind of hard to see. But the whole cross is 1 inch, so we're talking, oh, it's a 1/2 inch, excuse me, it's a 1/2 inch. So we're talking 1/4 inch in the center. So we take our scoreboard here and line up that cross, and just having that tick mark is sometimes just easier to see. All right, hold it, and just give it a little gentle score. There we go. We can fold it straight in the center. Make sure that lines up. Just like that. Ta-da! Right. So then we can go ahead and add our cross. Now if you're worried if you've put your hill too far forward, you can also washi tape this as well. Here's a little piece. Before gluing, just to make sure that your placement is good, because the last thing you want is to close it. Oh, okay. Is to close it and have your cross poking out. So that is a good thing to check. The other thing is I recommend don't put the cross on the this way, okay. Don't put it on the very, very top, because then it definitely will be poking out of your card. So I found that kind of sticking it about halfway down or further kind of guarantees that it's not going to be sticking out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue that down. Very easy peasy. We're getting all into the home stretch here, guys. All right. Give it a little press. All right, let that dry. Okay, so I'm gonna stick that off to the side and let that dry for a second. And now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other pieces for the center. So we're gonna stamp our scripture on there, Isaiah 46:4. And then also do a border with the Designer Series paper as well. The border is cut at 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And the inside Whisper White piece is at 3 by 3 1/4. Okay. So I definitely recommend stamp first, then glue it to the background. I can't tell you how many times, if you mess it up, you can always flip it over and give it one good, there we go, got it on there. You know, you have one more chance. If you mess up, you can always flip it over. All right, so we're gonna grab our Emerald Envy yet again. And for this, I just stamped the opposite corners with that leaf texture here. Now if you want, you could also do the scripture first. Okay. Okay. And then I've got the scripture ready to go, and this also is going to get stamped in that same lovely green. Just right in the center. Okay, a little crooked, but we're gonna go with it. Okay. And then to coordinate with the front, I'm also gonna add just a few of the little flowers on this part as well. Just move that off to the side up there. Okay. All right. So we're going to add those flowers on there and then just glue that straight on. So pretty easy. And you can always add more or less on that. Now, the other thing I have on here, I'll show you. So on this side of the hill, we also have some more of that same leaf greenery. My idea for this was supposed to represent the Garden of Gethsemane, you know, Christ on the cross, and then the open tomb. And so just kind of... Alright, sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties with the camera. But picking up where I left off, this sign was supposed to represent the Garden of Gethsemane, so got the greenery yet again. Of course, the cross where Jesus died in the center, and then to the right, the tomb with the stone rolled away where he rose again. So for this one, I went ahead and pre-stamped and pre-cut using the framelits yet again in this coordinating set. That leaf in the green. And then to kind of make it blend in with the hill so it's not just a stark white on the green, I went ahead and we're going to do a little bit more sponging. So let me grab my Emerald Envy back. A little sponge dauber. So just kind of gave him a little bit sponging just all over, just to kind of mask some of that white down. There we go, a little better. And then also you'll notice on this one, I actually sponged the edge of the hill too. So before we glue the greenery and then the stone and the cave entrance or tomb entrance on there, it's good to double check your hill, make sure that there's no additional cutting or trimming you need to do. So we're going to go ahead and test that real quick. And look, I do need to trim that edge is poking out just a little bit. So give that hill a little bit of a trim just to make sure when I close it, we're not kind of poking out. There we go, much better. And then of course, you know, if you think one side needs to be rounded or is too big or anything like that, you can always do that too. So there we go. Alright. So I'm also just going to take my sponge, this is kind of hard to do for the camera, and just kind of give it a little light inking just along the edge there. I think it just kind of makes it pop a little bit, gives it a little more definition. So you can kind of see one sponge side versus the other. And this is a little easier to do, not in the air for camera, but you guys get the idea. All right, so there we go. So just a little bit of color to those mountains. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add that greenery on. Now I found that actually if you kind of hook it, that makes sense, kind of like that. You guys can see that. It kind of flows with the hill. So just kind of tucking that little edge piece like it's coming up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. There's the glue. Okay. Don't need to go crazy with it. And yet again, just kind of keep in mind you don't want it too far over your edge so it doesn't show up when you close it. All right, looks pretty good. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and glue down my words we stamped a minute ago, just right here on this front corner. Now you could also do another just square of white on this side if you wanted to have room to write a note or message for whoever you're giving it to in the same size, but you don't have to. All right, now let's go ahead and grab our 2 punches. We're just going to go ahead and punch out a circle, just using the scrap here. And that, yet again, is that smoky slate with the 1 1/4 inch punch. And then I'm going to just do the entrance. Now, you don't have to do the whole oval, since you do want it to kind of look like the door is, you know, sitting on the ground. So I'm going to kind of leave a little bit so it's kind of flat on the bottom. Same thing with the framelits. You wouldn't want to do the whole thing. Okay. And then the other thing I'm going to do just a teeny bit of is grab my black. And this is just another personal preference thing. I just like to add a little bit of sponging around the stone. To me, it kind of makes it pop and look a little more stone-like. There we go. But you don't have to. Let's take that off the side. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add our entrance and our stone. So pretty straightforward like that. Sorry, just the nature of the pop-up. This is kind of tricky to show you guys while I do it. Alright, and then stone. I'm just sticking that off to the side, just kind of partially rolled away. Just like that. Alright, and the last thing is similar to the leaves on the front and then also the ones right here. I'm going to go ahead and add a few more of these yellow flowers that I have pre-done just to kind of coordinate with my yellow and green flower look. Alright. Just because of angles, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of add a few dots on here and grab a few. I'll do the little one. Oh no, I dropped it. There we go. Okay, it's not as even as my other one, but I just wanted to go ahead and finish that off real quick. So just added a few more flowers, and I'll probably add another one on here, maybe up there, maybe down there. No, maybe I'll add one more, like right here. There we go. Okay. So we've got our flowers. I probably should have overlapped these or not done the big ones so close together, but you get the idea. So there is our basic cross pop-up card. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. I know it was a little bit longer. Thanks for bearing with me. As I mentioned before, all the product links are in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks, guys, for supporting my business and my channel. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.